Thanks to the magic of scheduled videos, this will be going live when I start this new thing that I've been talking about. And for those of you who are my patron or people who follow me on social media, you've already got a basic idea. I did say in the post that I put on those formats that I would go into more detail in this video because otherwise it would be a massive essay of a post that no one would read, even those with the best attention spans or interest in my life. So yes, this is that video. So on the 20th of August 2022, I attended an open day, a clearing open day, as I found out later. I didn't quite realise at the time. And for those of you in countries where clearing isn't a thing, or maybe you call it something different, here in the UK, clearing is a way for those who might struggle to attend university to potentially secure a place. You might not have got the grade you wanted if you're coming straight through from A-levels, which is equivalent to like junior and senior year, as far as I understand it, in American high school. So you may not have got the qualifications there, but you might be able to go into a similar enough course, or maybe transition into a foundation year course, which normally has lower requirements, to then give you the skills and what have you for going actually into the full degree course. So it's a way of making sure that people who want to go into higher education can. Now, the cynical part of me also realises that a university is funded by tuition fees, primarily. There's donations and things like that, of course, but tuition fees is the big thing. And if they don't have people on the courses, they don't get the tuition fees, whether that's paid for by the family or through student loans, etc. So it's in their interest to get as many people on a course as possible. And okay, the less cynical, but still slightly, is they've got to pay the teaching staff. If they're paying their teaching staff to cover 5 students, it's not as cost effective as 10 or 20 or however many. So there's a number of reasons on a cynical scale that mean that clearing is good for both parties. But of course, I said this is a way to get into university. Here is the key bit. I've mentioned many times how I've had various struggles with mental health. There's videos on both channels. I think I'm putting this on both. I'm not sure. You'll know by the time you're watching this. But I've had struggles, and when you are exposed to a number of different therapeutic methods and people who are practicing those methods, you do sort of pick up the skills and you do sort of understand in a very layperson way what it takes to do that job, what it takes to be a counsellor or a psychotherapist or whatever. And I mean, this has been something I've struggled with for pretty much all of my life, at least all my adult life, if nothing earlier than that. But I had issues through childhood, so it's definitely been a long thing for me. And the phrase that I found, or someone said to me, I can't recall now, is an expert through experience. Someone who hasn't got the academic side or whatever, or the training, but who has basically through life got the same level of basic idea. So because I've been through that many different therapies and everything like that, I roughly know what it's like from both sides in a way. I've looked at the course materials and gone, I could deliver this in theory. Also, because of all these therapies over time, I'm a lot stronger emotionally, mentally, etc. than I would have been years ago. I'm still not perfect. I've now developed coping strategies. I haven't gotten rid of the issues. I just know that I can only deal with stuff in a certain way or at a certain time or for a certain amount of time. So I've learned ways of it not taking over my life or causing me to be a danger to myself and or others. So, like I say, expert through experience. So all of this has led me to realise that I wanted to do a psychology... Well, no. What I wanted to do originally was maybe like a counselling course. So I looked at what would that need to be, because you can technically act as a counsellor without accreditation, but I know I'd be less comfortable approaching someone for something like that who isn't accredited by some kind of body. So I realised that if I wanted to do that, even in private practice, it's going to help if I can get accreditation. How do you get accreditation? You need to do a course. What is the course? It's a costly thing. Even if you do it like as a night school thing or something like that, it would cost me money that I don't have. We don't have the funds to do that. I cannot justify a loan for that privately either. So it was one of those things where, right, how do I get around this? I'd almost come to the point of it's not going to happen. Then I found psychology with counselling degree courses. And I'm like, wait, this could be a way in. And whilst that course itself will not give you the accreditation, you can then take that through to like master's level, etc., and be accredited by the relevant governing body that I'm aiming to be accredited by. So I knew the course, I knew the path I needed to go down. And doing a degree course, student loans are different over here in the UK. They are sort of government administered, I guess. They're technically called the Student Loan Company, but they're tied that much into the government that it's fine. I mean, they take it out of your wages directly and things like that. It's not a private loan, and you're not being scalped at ridiculous interest rates. It only comes into effect once you earn a certain threshold, and because I'm going into something more vocationally focused, it's a sure bet for them, you'd hope, because there is something about student loans that I need to talk about in a short while. So I had this path, and I was like, right, I need to know if I can get onto the course with the grades I got, because when I started my A-levels, I was okay. Second year of A-levels, I had my first proper girlfriend and everything went very south. I didn't get anywhere near the grades I should have done. So, this was a problem. So therefore I attend this day and, get a basic idea through the admissions, have a bit of a moment of meltdown. I was so overwhelmed by the amounts of people I had to go and chill out for a bit, then go back in. But once I was able to, I spoke to someone on the admissions side, and it's like, okay, go and speak to a specific person in the psychology side. And throughout the day, they were doing talks and things like that. So I was told basically go to where those talks are. Hopefully you'll be able to grab this person and see what we can do. Because my fear was, and this is what I was going to get onto, I did start a course way back, straight after A-levels, and that was a lower course than I really could have got onto. But I signed up, I moved into a student home, and got the student loans through, but never set foot on campus. That's a big problem there, isn't it? Apparently, I didn't know about this until quite recently when I was discussing everything with parents. They were chasing me down, which was quite terrifying. Kind of like, is your child still alive? And obviously, once you're not attended for so long, you can't be on the course anymore because you're going to be so far behind. So there was all this problem. Now, with the student loan system, you have a course period plus a grace year in case of anything going wrong. So if you signed up to a 3-year course, you'll have that 3 years plus a gift year in case of anything going wrong and you need to repeat a year, something like that. So it sounds like a good deal. However, in my mind, I'd already used my gift year, so I thought I literally had 3 years left. If my grades meant I had to do foundation, I'd have 1 year that I'd have to fund myself. The way student finance works is they don't fund the first year. And at first I was like, that's a bit harsh, because if you don't start it, how are you meant to continue it? But from their point of view is, if you don't do that first year, we don't have to pay you the rest. So it's kind of sensible betting from them. So that was my fear. So when I spoke to this person, we discussed the options, and really the only way would be to do a foundation year. And I was like, great, but I really like you. We had a geography connection, you could say. We're both from a similar part of the country originally, picked up on the accent as I do. And I thought that the people here, did seem very friendly, did seem very welcoming. They seemed like they wanted people to come here. And again, yes, this was on a clearing open day. They're selling themselves, come to us, etc. But still, I believe that it was genuine in most cases. They all seemed very welcoming, and I really felt comfortable on campus. Now, my partner Amy did study there years ago, so I was already vaguely familiar. It's also down the road. The waiting for the bus to get there is longer than the bus journey to get there, if that makes sense. Because there's another university the other way, who I could have gone to, and during the day I was planning to visit both campuses. And even Amy said, don't just put it all into here. When I was like, this is a situation, I think I want to just stay here and see what I can do. She said, go to the other place. And I was going to. I walked halfway from campus towards where the bus would go and pick me up. And I had this thought of, would student finance be available on a Saturday? Because 9 to 5, I'd expect them to be available, Monday to Friday, but I didn't expect them to be open on Saturday. But they were, for a limited window, but still, they were available. And of course, a lot of clearing events were happening around this time, so it does make sense now I think about it. Plus, parents of students who are going in through the normal route, if you will, might only have the Saturday available, so if they needed to speak to them, there's a reason why they should be open, I guess, in hindsight. But I was like, expecting everything to be against me. This is how my mind works. I'm never disappointed because I expect the worst. But I was like, okay, I'm going to huddle, because the wind was picking up, behind this, not monolith, it's not quite that big, but it was this thing anyway that worked as a really good wind shelter. On the phone, huddled there, and people are looking at me. It's like we've got a massive wait because everyone's trying to phone up at the same time, and I'm like, I don't even like phone calls. This is a big thing for me. This was the moment I'm like, oh, I'm committed. So I'm there huddling, and then I'm like, actually, is it less windy in the shadow of the big building that I'm next to? Not my brightest moment. So I went behind there, and there was a bit of a breeze that came round, but it was a lot easier, and I could actually sit down. So once I got through to a lovely woman whose name I've forgotten, I'm very sorry if you happen to watch this. I'm sorry to have forgotten your name, but you were wonderful. And she clarifies for me that no, it's a gift year plus a course length. So you've had your gift year. So whatever the course length is, you can have it, basically. And I was like, oh, that makes sense if I'd have read that properly. But still, having the reassurance, and again my anxiety expecting that I'm going to have an uphill struggle, I was basically elated right now. I pretty much use a cane always when I'm walking for stability, but if I could have skipped to the other building, I would have done right then and there. But that's what I did. I went across as fast as I can and went, right, this is a situation from the person in psychology side of things. This is a situation for student finance, which was my biggest worry after that. So can we apply, please? Now, over here in the UK, we have a system called UCAS, which is the admission system that all of these things go through. And that's why you have things like UCAS points that are grade equivalents, but it's a way of kind of going, well, if you didn't quite get this, but you've got another qualification, can that be transferred into points, etc. So I hadn't gone through this because I was expecting to start next year. So I was like, I'm going to get the information, because that was the thing. I wasn't actually expecting to start this year. I was going to get all the information, see what I can do, and then start next year. I could get my application in, I think, by January. UCAS is the deadline for the next academic year. So I was like, I've got plenty of time. And then it was like, okay, let's do this. And there was an inner side of me, like the angel and devil. There's more like the non-anxious and anxious for me. And the non-anxious side was like, yeah, let's do it. And the anxious side was going, excuse you? What? That was not what we agreed. We were going to have time to deal with this. But the non-anxious part of my brain just took over and went, yep, put it through. I'm doing this form. I'm doing it by hand, which really hurt because I've got a potential RSI situation going on, or carpal tunnel something. But I was doing it by hand, and getting it in. And this little bit in my brain was still not coming to the fore, going, stop, put the brakes on. And I'm like, okay, this is the thing now. And I went away with a letter that said unconditional offer, but they did say, if we can see your qualifications, great. If not, we can interview you or something like that. I mean, with mature students, because legally I am anyway, if not mentally. Mature students are different, because we haven't come through straight from school, A-levels, etc. We haven't gone what I consider the normal path. We've had life in the way. We've had various things that have happened to us. So our qualifications are somewhat less important. If we've got life experience that is transferable, that's kind of useful too. But with psychology, it is a science, I will always say that, but it's a softer science. Whilst there is research, both qualitative and quantitative, there are softer elements. You're thinking about humanity and how we interact with each other, behaviour, things like that. That doesn't necessarily fit into hard science of, I saw this, therefore it's true. So, yeah, it's a softer science, and sometimes it's more about the person, especially the end goal being towards counselling. That is more about the person than even just normal psychology. Now, the big downside I have is psychology with counselling doesn't have a foundation year. Psychology does, but you can transfer. So all being well, that shouldn't be a problem. We'll find out next year, shall we? But getting ahead of myself. So got all that in. Tried to get my qualifications during the summer break of schools. That's not useful because I needed to know which education board. So I tried to contact my previous school and they didn't have anything obviously until the start of September because that's when they were back. At which point they looked on files like, it's too old. It's 21 years ago, basically. And I was like, I'm not emailing every single exam board. They said it's not super important. So I sent the email saying, yep, can't find it. I was told I may need an interview. Time went by and I get my enrollment invitation and stuff, like the online enrollment. I'm like, what's going on here? And on that it said mature student accepted based on experience. So I'm like, okay, so we skipped the interview then. Hopefully that's not an oversight that's going to come to bite me in the rear later if someone watches this video and goes, oh yeah, we were meant to do that. But yeah, I've started getting everything through. I've got my academic email. I even got this thing, which I'll hold in a way to protect all of my details. But yeah, that's me. I've got it. And I picked that up the other day. And I consider that basically the penultimate step short of what I'm doing today. There is a welcome week. There are 3 mandatory things I've got this week. And then there's the welcome fair, which is basically what I call free pizza day. Because apparently they're sponsored by Domino's, which is fun. So I'm going to go and do that at some point this week. But yes, my schedule's going to be wonky. At least my personal schedule. But I've got stuff already planned for October, and most of it's already kind of ready-ish. I've got a few bits and pieces that are fine for the first few weeks of November as well, because there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, but I'm not putting off a Halloween thing again. I've done that in the past and I hate it. I like to have Halloween month of October and do as much as I can in there. The music things that I'm planning to do, I will still do in some format, even if I have to do just half of them. But I will not let the one thing make the other side suffer. That goes both ways. If I do find I'm struggling, I will do another announcement video saying I'm dialing it down to like 1 a month or whatever it may be. So if things do need to change, yes, I will keep people in the loop and make adjustments as necessary. I mean, part of the big stresses I've had is most people have had a long while to get their student finance sorted because they take time to sign off on everything. But that's all fine now. I shouldn't have any issues. But one of the subsets of that is a disabled student allowance. Now, it isn't money that you're given, it's more money that they can authorise to provide you with academic support in human form, like tutors and things, specialised to deal with people who have complex mental health issues or autism or whatever. There's software and hardware even that I'm getting, and the software I realised I can use some of it at least, possibly to help in video planning and production. I don't think they're going to take it away from me because I'm not using it just for academic studies. I've got the software available during this time. I don't see an issue with me using it for other things. So it may actually mean that making videos is easier, but I do still think that there will be an adjustment period, and I'm glad I've got a few things already in the bank. But yeah, I'm going to university 4 years, plus whatever postgrad stuff I need to do for the accreditation, and I'm not going to let it affect the videos or vice versa, really. I think it's more priority to make sure it doesn't affect the course. But yeah, this is already over 20 minutes, and a lot of it is me flubbing my lines because I've not really planned out entirely what I wanted to say. I've just winged it, and I've been a bit all over the place. Plus, it's really close now, so brain's in a bit of a scrambled egg mode. But yes, thank you very much for letting me go into more detail if you've already read the social media posts, or just letting you know what's going on if not. And I will see you, or you'll see me on Friday. It's not a two-way thing yet. But yes, you'll see me on Friday for something. And yeah, as always, until next time, take care.